Hello.
Hi. That's my line, Gonky. What's up? It's Spike. He's
What's
back.
up, guys?
Actually, it's the first time on this channel.
That's right.
We did the
this is
interview.
different. I saw the intro and
It brings back memories.
it's a bit different. That's
It's
right.
a T-38. You're familiar with that aircraft?
I am.
An
I
airplane.
am.
How's your back and neck from
Disabled. Next question.
How disabled are we now after
You know, when you get up or stand up and something hurts and you don't know how you hurt it, that's where I'm at.
I know how. It's the T-38. Like I can 100%.
Blame Northrop.
Yeah.
Right.
So Spike, dude, you are a man of many talents. Just to remind everybody, we did the initial interview, but just to remind people, you flew all the jets, including the Strike Eagle. You were a T6 IP, right? For a time. And then T-38A at the mighty Tufits. And then you, after that, because we interviewed you while you were still flying the 38. What did you do? What has Spike been up to in the last 3 years?
Yeah, sure. So last I was interviewing with you guys, I was still living down in the Florida Panhandle area, flying with you guys in the Tufits at Eglin. Since then,
it doesn't exist anymore. First of all,
wait,
do they exist? Did they move or did they just vanish?
That is a great question. My understanding is the flag went somewhere else, and maybe there are jets that don't look like T-38s anymore. But you know,
good enough.
You can find an expert to talk about that. But no. So I went and did the airline interview thing. Got picked up pretty quickly due to the post-COVID kind of door opening and big entrance. And 2022, I got hired, left the Air Force. I'm originally a Georgia native. I grew up north of Atlanta. However, my family and I moved back just south of the airport in Atlanta. So we live in the McDonough area. And that's basically what I've been doing. I think the last time we talked, I kind of told you that I had a passion for entrepreneurship. So I've been kind of trying to find my way there in that space since I've been back. And I'm excited, guys. I got a lot of things on the drawing board. I don't want to jinx it just yet because I haven't signed any contracts, but I mean I am further along than I've ever been with the startup.
You're going to play for the Falcons?
Dude, they could use the help, right? I'll tell you what. Hey, at least
I would have to hate you 2 Sundays in every season. I don't know if
at least I get to go to an NFL game. I live near an NFL team. You know what I mean?
So you were doing some mentorship before, and you were also doing some public speaking. How is the mentorship stuff going? Have you had more time since you've been living the airline life, or are you still kind of settling in?
So my business partner and I, he was in the Air Force also, flew F-22s. The mentorship business that we started was doing pretty well. I had I'd say a core group of folks that I was mentoring from kind of start to push them along through the aviation track. I got about 2 through. He was doing some instructor stuff up around the kind of the Virginia area. And then as the story goes, love hit and married an Aussie and moved to Australia.
Margot Robbie.
Went to Harvard Law, right? Because being an F-22 pilot wasn't enough. It wasn't enough challenge. So did that and now we've kind of gotten away from the straighten up fly right, but like I said, we've got some stuff on the drawing board. In terms of the public speaking, I'm still a public speaker.
Nice.
Yeah, so I still do that. I still do the executive consulting for Afterburner, but I liked it a little bit more than I thought I would. So I'm working with an organization to help me craft my own material and my own keynote. So sometime next year, I'll start booking clients for my own IP, which I'm excited about. Dude.
Yeah, you get more details, man. Have you back on.
Sure.
Plug it. I'm curious. Spike, what did you think of? I mean, I get asked this question a lot. When you transitioned over to the airline side, how was that for you?
Okay, if I'm completely honest,
We like that here.
dude. Like the first month, I thought I made the biggest mistake.
Just the first month?
The first month, I was like, what have I done? What have I done? Right? I'm sitting up there kind of cruising, doing nothing at like, 33 block or whatever, right?
3 block.
The block.
Do you ever tell the guys you're flying with, hey man, we're cleared up to the 3 block?
Yeah.
It doesn't go over so well when they're like non-military, right? I get to like, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know what I'm gonna do. I keep them on their toes.
Good.
Yeah. Check cons.
What?
Right. Yeah, I'm like tally cons, and they're like, what? Like, put the fork and the spoon down.
Yeah.
You have a tray, right? You're a Skybus.
Yeah. I have a tray. I can say I've never flown with one of these things. I don't even know what this is. Like, I'm sure. People do this. I've never done that. I don't know.
Good on you.
Yeah. So the training wasn't too. I know for me, I'm a Skybus driver as well. I know it was pretty tough for me to go from the fighter pilot mindset to the way more crew concept and button pushing.
Yeah, man, it was just different, right? Because we come from a world where you're so involved and engulfed in everything from the planning to the briefing to the execution, and then we're going to come back and we're going to spend the time to figure out, like, we had a 99% solution, but we're going to live in that 1% to figure out, like how we can do it, bigger, faster, stronger, less resources, less fuel, less airplanes. It was a big mindset shift in the beginning, right? But then as I kind of settled down into it, and I found that I don't necessarily need, for me personally, to look to that job for my
purpose.
Identity.
My identity. Yeah. So I started to find my purpose and my identity in the time off that it gives me, especially as I ran up the seniority list because of the big hiring wave, right? So once I kind of made peace with that, like my purpose and my identity is in what I do in free time. And then when I go to work, I just realize I'm there to do, like, man, like, 90% of the workload is on the ground.
Yeah.
And once you push back and you take off, it's just, do I have the Wall Street Journal and
the following the
company
line
materials, obviously.
Yes,
company materials.
Yes, I read the GOM for fun.
Yeah, I read
the FOM and the FCTM and all that.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about your PAs. Do you fly wartime missions in peacetime and peacetime missions in wartime, and tell them all about your exploits and the mighty mud hen?
Dude, it's the greatest, right? It's like, all right, what is he gonna say today? Right? And you always know.
Spike, tell us, what did Wombat say? No, I'm just kidding. As a friend of the show.
Hey, Wombat, if you're on right now, best captain I ever flew with. Dude, it is great. Can't wait to see you. I think I saw you on my schedule in 2 weeks, so I'm looking forward to it.
Whoa.
There you go, Wombat.
Besties now. Whoa. Yeah. Anyway, continue with your story before Gonky rudely interrupts.
No, it's great because it's interesting because you have all the personalities, and you get the guy that checks in. He's like, "Hey man, so what'd you do in the past life?" He's like, "Okay, I was Air Force. What'd you fly?" "Yeah, I flew fighters." He's like, "Okay, hold on." It's like, how many years? Right? Because he's gonna make that like, "Hey, we have a combined, 3.5 years of." Yeah, you do you, man. Yeah, you do you. It's great.
Well,
it's great.
So I see your picture behind you, the mud hen in its natural habitat, defensive. Did that crew coordination help you with flying the larger 121 transport aircraft?
did it help me with
Yeah,
flying?
because we're single seat guys. We're not used to all these people, but you already flew the world's greatest passenger jet.
Dude, it's so different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let that one slide. I'll let that slide. It's so different. I'd say no, still no. I mean, it's
well, still one pilot in the Strike Eagle, honestly, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, but it's just these airplanes are so advanced, and they're so like when I got to Delta, I had an instructor tell me, hey, and it was a prior military instructor, right? So just kind of coaching me on how this is not the Air Force, and I don't need to rebuild the airplane and learn the schematics and all that other type of stuff. Like
Was he a Navy guy? Was it our old skipper?
So it's not what we do here. Type of talk, right?
Right.
But he was like, the Airbus, Dwayne, it makes bad pilots okay pilots, and it makes great pilots okay pilots.
It's valid.
Right.
Valid,
that's what he said.
100%.
Yeah. And I'm just like, so to your question, did it prepare me? It's like, no, I mean, it was great. And I learned a lot in terms of SA and all the other type stuff from flying fighters. But dude, the Airbus makes great pilots okay pilots,
Yeah. We said that about the Hornet too. all that digital
okay pilot.
all that digital flight control magic. I mean, you just can you move the stick around? Good.
Yeah.
You're a qual.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Spike, I want to back up in time with the T-38, because one of the things how Gonky and I know you is at the Tufits, which we were flying adversary air T-38s. And what struck me about you was you stepped into the director of operations role into a squadron that was kind of in turmoil because of all the uncertainty, nothing really, nobody knew what was going on. We didn't know what the future held. It was shutting down on the reserve side.
Sure.
There was no support. All this stuff is happening. And what I remember about flying with you is that, dude, you were, and I appreciated this, is like you were big picture safety, getting the mission done, taking care of the people. Talk about, I mean, how you approach that and how, I know Motor was awesome. Motor was, I mean, the team you guys made really set the tone. But I mean, talk about walking into that role and from a leadership perspective, how you got there, what made you as good as you were at that position.
Sure. So to start, I mean, Motor was an awesome commander to work with. First and foremost, I learned a lot working with him, and then also his temperament and his vision. It made it easier for kind of my temperament and my vision because we aligned. I feel like it would have been a lot more difficult if that were not the case, but it was. So for me, it was huge because it was almost like a trial by fire, if you will, because like you say, there was a lot of turmoil. The makeup of the squadron was a little bit different. It wasn't like a normal squadron. We had a lot of reservists, more reservists than we did active duty, actually. So then just how to balance all that. And you really just kind of sit down and you think about the things that you think are important. And that's going to be different for everybody. So for me, what I thought was important, like you already touched on, was, hey, I wanted us to be as close-knit as possible. I wanted everybody to know that I am a big picture type person. And I think that especially for the younger pilots we had, this is a place where it's a psychological safe place. You can make mistakes and it's okay. You can learn from those mistakes. That's why we're here. And ultimately you can get better. And I was going to do my best to shield that process and that mental space from what could be happening up there, right? Mm-hmm. And we all know there was a lot happening up there. So that's really just what I wanted, and may not have been the most popular approach with the rank, but at the end of the day,
normal.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think I was pretty happy with the leadership skills that I developed, the team that I was able to develop, and to this day, I still have people checking in
Yeah.
with me from that unit. I mean, one of the staff sergeants in that unit, I kind of mentored him,
Oh, cool.
and he wanted to be a pilot. We sat down and made the roadmap. He just graduated from OTS
Oh, nice.
3
man.
weeks ago. Got a pilot
Congrats.
spot. He's coming
Awesome.
here to Georgia to do some pilot school, because they completely changed pilot training, by the way, which I'm sure you guys have probably covered or talked about. But the first half of pilot training now is civilian, and then and then you go, so he's, from the time that we were in the Tufits together, to now, it's that type of stuff that is rewarding to me, to be able to see people, to kind of lay a plan down, say, hey, this is something I want to do, and then help them along their journey to do that. Like, to me, that's what leadership means. However, we've all met those folks that they define leadership a little bit different, and that just wasn't my path for myself.
The other part to that, you're talking about, taking care of people and stuff. One of the things, we're all, the three of us here, right? We're all very experienced, and we were experienced at the time. There's still that, hey, we want to go hack the mission. And from an experienced dude perspective, or dudette, whatever, gender neutral, sometimes we just want to hack the mission and we don't want to say uncle. And one of the things we had to deal with was the deteriorating condition of the T-38A. And it's
Right.
nothing. Maintenance was awesome. They were doing what they could. We had contract maintenance. They were all outstanding maintainers, but we were doing what we could with the parts availability of a 70 or 60-year-old jet. And just, even motor was trying to figure out ways that we could upgrade this. But eventually, you guys threw down, were like, hey, we're not doing this, hard IMC, instrument meteorological conditions. We're not going to fly these jets in high risk situations because there is no mission that's that important.
Right.
Was that something that you and Motor kind of sat down and were like, dude, we're going to lose an airplane? Like, what's the safety mindset from that leadership perspective? And how do you answer to the boss going, look, we can't provide because, if we do, it's going to be much worse?
Right. No, that's a great question. and obviously, in that space, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Because you kind of have, on one side, you've got like, hey, this is your mission. These are the resources that you're given to produce, and we need you to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Even year after year, year over year, as we reduce resources, whether that be jets, whether that be people, whether that be actual, monetary value budgets, we still need you to produce the mission. So, yes, Motor and I sat down and we kind of had this discussion. And we as military, we are highly regarded as a professional service. And this is why, because when the job needs to be done, you have people that will fall over and make sure it gets done. But then when it gets to the point to where it's like, hey, well, let's pump the brakes a little bit, right? Because we are training, and we do value the pilots. Not only do we value the pilots, but what was really huge for me was, I was a relatively newer pilot in the squadron, right? Especially because a large majority of the squadron was reservists. So what was pivotal for me was when you all started speaking up, and what I was not going to do when that first person or second or third person started to speak up and say, hey, this is dangerous. That is all the data I needed to take forward and to have the conversation with Motor, and he unequivocally agreed. And then we go forward and we say, hey, guess what? We're throwing down with the VFR only restriction. And we decided it's got to be something rather drastic to try to get the attention of the folks that can really affect the change. Otherwise, I've seen it, you guys have seen it, if we kind of suffer in silence, and we just kind of promote this, it doesn't matter what the restrictions are, we're going to get it done no matter what. You can back yourself into a corner because you're not being open and honest with what it is you need and you will allow the degradation of whatever it is you're doing until you actually have something catastrophic happen. And Motor and I basically decided we did not want something catastrophic to happen on our watch. So we were going to do whatever we could, right? Like we can't necessarily make the decision. All we can do is provide the information and provide the risk level, and then have leadership. You're buying the risk.
Right.
Turns out they didn't want to buy the risk, right? So,
So we didn't see the end. Was the last, year or two that you guys were operating out of, did it get worse? I mean, was that like, because as jets are kind of dwindling down and pilots are leaving and the reserve component's gone completely. I mean, what did that change that squadron?
Honestly, I think so they kept trying to find little band-aids to the issues that we had going on. And then you know how it is, right? Here's a band-aid and here's the long-term fix. This is what we're committing resources to in the long term. However, this thing isn't going to be here until, further down the road. But I think all that became overshadowed by the drawdown in the move. So, had everything stayed the way it was, and the flying hour program and producing, I think it would have still been under a microscope. But then I think once leadership finally decided to draw down and move the resources the way they did and the people the way they did, there wasn't a way we could continue to produce anyway. So it was almost like a lot of that just got swept under the rug. And then, to be quite honest with you, that was right around the time I was doing my interviewing. I ended up palace chasing, right? Yeah. So I left 6 months early because of the palace chase. And I wasn't there for the final drawdown and movement.
What was your Finney flight? What'd you end up doing?
I don't think I had one.
500 knots in the break, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All the way back.
Carrier break.
Carrier break, baby.
The low break. I broke up.
I broke up. The pitch up. Was that your last tactical? I mean, did you fly anything after that? So how's that been? Because every fighter pilot's different, man. I mean, it affected me. It's affected Gonky, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to speak for you, Gonky, but
yes.
Dude, how is that? I know you were talking about it, purpose versus identity and stuff with your current job, but how did that affect you to hang it up and go, this is it, I'm out?
So, to be quite honest, when I did it, I was more focused on flipping the page, the chapter of my life, going to the next one. I'll tell you when it affected me really. I was actually at Eglin 2 weeks ago for one of my buddies, Finney, his Finney flights. So he ended up going, we were in the Chiefs together. He was my backseater, one of my backseaters. He went to TPS. He's a TPS graduate and ended up in the 40th at Eglin.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm working my spike magic. I find a 4-day trip that has a layover in VPS the same day as the Finney. So I'm like, oh, I'll be there, right? I'll be there. It's beautiful. I'm flying down final on runway 20, and I make Phoenix break out and re-enter gate. It's great.
Did you tell him? You should have told. Hey,
I was like, hey, man, sorry.
Superpower coming through.
Right.
Dude, it was great. But to be back in. So that was the first time I was back at Eglin, and I was flying, although not military jets, right? But they're buzzing over. I'm taxiing in. You see, the Navy was there. There was I didn't see the tail flash. It was a Black Hornet, and
painted black to be a VX jet.
Yeah, they were taxiing in.
Test stuff. Yeah.
Yep. They were taxiing in. The EX. So my buddy was a test pilot on the EX. So they're flying in, and I'm kind of sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of miss this. Like I just miss all of it. I kind of miss it a little bit. And then I got yelled at for reading back the taxi wrong, and
Talking suddenly becomes the most difficult part of being an airline pilot. Who knows?
Wait, did you not call the little shack they set up there?
First of all, what is going on with Eglin, right? Like there was like barricades, there was a closure, and I'm like, no, I want to go over there. They're like, no, we got to take you over here. You're gonna get a tour of the F-35 ramp.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you get paid by the minute. What are you like that?
Taxi slow, man.
You're not wrong. Ladies and
Parking
gentlemen,
brake.
if you look on the left side of the aircraft, you'll see
Yeah.
right there, you got the nation's finest. I don't know why they have one engine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's right. Dude. Or why it looks a little portly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, it's about transitioning, moving on to the next chapter of your life. I mean, you're still a young guy, dude. I mean, have you ruled it out? Has it ever crossed your mind of chasing that dream one more time?
To go back, it crossed my mind one time, and that's when I knew I was done.
Yeah.
Was it crossed my mind, and obviously there was the stuff going on with do you want to go to a TX at Luke, and we're going to stand up here. That offer or that conversation happened when I was in the Florida Guard still at Tyndall, because all that was standing up at Tyndall.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nah, TX, iPug seasoning.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, Mover and I have talked about this a lot. It's like every time, it's like looking back on anything. You remember the good times, which is like, I hate to say it, sometimes it feels like the tip of the iceberg, and then it's like, but in between that, there was a lot of really hard stuff, man. And it's not that it's bad. It's just, when you get older, right? Yeah, your priorities change.
Yes, your priorities change. And once I hung it up, guys, I gave the family heavier votes. So it's not just me making this decision anymore.
Mover no understand, but I do. Just kidding.
Anyway, a certain captain has just responded and said, did someone say best captain ever?
Well, now it's official.
Did he sell you one of his books? Because they are all excellent.
Well, you know what he did do? He did promise me a ride in that beautiful guard red.
Now the world knows.
Red Porsche. Porsche.
And when I said ride, when I said promise me a ride, that's not what I meant. I meant like in the driver's seat.
No, there you go.
That's what.
Hey, next time y'all fly together, just have him swing by and pick you up, man. I mean, no big deal.
Right. Yeah, it's only an hour out of his way, but I'm
sure right, dude.
Yeah, but he's a captain. That's what they're supposed to do,
right?
Give you
Hey, sir. Just don't even worry about the beers. Just
Porsche.
Bring the car.
Bring the Porsche. I want to put my bags in the boot.
That's
in
awesome.
the boot.
In the boot.
That's awesome.
Wombat's awesome. Friend of the show.
Yes.
We're not beefing.
No.
Are you beefing with Wombat after flying with him?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Dude, if you read the comments, it might. Yeah.
If you read the comments, which he does.
Well, whatever he says, if it's bad, it's probably true. So there's no reason for me to be mad.
No, man.
No, dude. So when you are in the airline and flying, because I know this almost starts to sound like an interview, but I think a lot of that experience with the 2-foots and other stuff has probably paid dividends. Especially, have you gotten the speech about there is no mission from the captains, where it's like, look, dude, there's no mission here.
Yeah.
We're not going to push a bad situation and end up on the History Channel.
That's right.
One of the air disasters channels. I mean, has that helped you with the kind of CRM risk management stuff, just personally?
Yeah. I mean, I get it, right? So I think it would be if I brought that world over and tried to continue it into the new chapter in the new world, then maybe that would be a foul. But I think, kind of like I was telling you guys about, I was ready to switch the chapter, and I showed up just ready to learn and ready to and it's a different culture. I mean, that is the culture there. So, we kind of talked about it with regards to the last question of, sometimes we paint ourselves in a corner because we're willing to get it done no matter what. But that is definitely not the culture there, and for good reason, right? For good reason. I'm not bad talking any of the airline mentality, but for good reason, right? Because you got 200 people sitting in the back, so why are we pressing this? It's almost our job to ask why. Why are we being rushed here? Why are we rushing? Why are we pressing this? Based on the weather report, do we need to go right now? Versus when we were flying the fighters, it was like we said yes before the question was asked, because we were getting the call for the tick, or we were it's life and death. So I'm gone. Don't talk to me right now. Let me take off, and then give me all the details as I'm blasting towards the border.
Well, dude, that's a good segue, because I don't know if you watch the news, but the mud hen has been pivotal in the Middle East. It's kind of the drone killer these days. In fact, there's an article that we've skipped about 14 times about them getting Apicus rockets to shoot down drones. But in a lot of these drone attacks, in fact, some of them got medals for it. They were shooting down like hundreds of aircraft. I mean, dude, what do you think about all that? Like, just the airspace deconfliction of going through that, to me, just sounds incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And it was amazing to read all that. And at the time I was still had vault access, and I was trying to find what I could. But what I will say is when it all came out, I was not surprised, because the commander was my SRO in pilot training.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he is on his game. He is. I highly respect the guy. He is your fighter pilot's fighter pilot. He was a backseater first, competed hands down, deserved to go to pilot training. I met him at pilot training. He was my SRO, and then ended up going back to the Strike Eagle, so set in both seats. And then during the time out there, he was one of the commanders of the squadrons. And I mean, just some of the stories of they were going up, cleaning off the jets, coming back, reloading, going back up. I mean, it was, it's
That's
the stuff
wild.
you write books about, you write articles and stuff about. It was impressive stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds. Who is doing the deconfliction? Like, what is the crew coordination between you and the backseater? Like, are you are you a 4-ship and then it's 8 people? Or are you guys kind of doing your own thing and everybody's a roving motorcycle gang with 2 people in each?
I mean, if I had to imagine, and again, I don't have all the details, but just
we're the speculate. This ain't the news or nothing. We don't know anything. There's no deep intel here.
Everybody's got a lane, right? It's standard lane tactics. They've all got a lane, and you just got. I mean, at that point, I would imagine, based on the numbers they were saying, you just have contacts everywhere, and of course, 2's out of position, and
2's lost.
4 is blind. So, I'm like, hey, it's more contacts for me.
Buddy spiked. Nobody's yelling buddy spiked, hopefully.
Right. But
they ran out of weapons before they ran out of gas.
I'm
sure.
Dude, we talked about this last time. Didn't you fly a slicked off Strike Eagle? Didn't you get a chance to? Well, yeah.
I did one time. Yeah, one
time.
Do you think
that's what the EX is like?
Man, yes, right? Because bigger motors.
Yeah.
The conformals are removable?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I think you can make that thing like when I took it to depot. I took it to depot one time. So I didn't have a backseater. I didn't have a gun. I didn't have radio. I didn't know I had radios.
Wow.
A lot of the avionics were taken off. The conformals were taken off. So there were no conformals.
Wow.
Big motor? The big motor?
No, I didn't have the big motors. Okay. Not that it mattered.
But it does have a bigger motor than the C model, right? And it's got a big motor.
30% more thrust.
Yes. Yeah. So, but Seymour Johnson had the initial motors. I think Mountain Home had the motor upgrade, and Lake and Heath had the motor upgrade. So, I don't know the story. I think they were trying to outfit the entire fleet. Something happened before they got to Seymour, and it was no good.
I bet it was still a rocket ship, dude.
Oh, dude. So like the weapons officer, he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, Spike, you're taking the jet to depot, right? Warner Robins, Georgia." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "All right, here's two things, man. Two things. Don't overspeed the gear on takeoff, and don't break the sound barrier." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Right.
Like, out of all the tactics and stuff we talk about, you're telling me don't overspeed the gear on takeoff and don't break the sound barrier. So here's how it went. I get into the jet, I strap in. There's like very little avionics because they've already stripped it. No gun, no conformals, no externals, nothing, right? So I taxi out, I get lined up on the runway, and Venom 01, you're clear for takeoff. Sweet. I plug it in AB. I'm airborne. And I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I rip it to idle, put the gear up. I'm accelerating in idle. The gear comes up, and I'm like, oh yeah, baby. I was cleared an unrestricted climb, of course, right?
Yeah.
I throw it back in AB. Boom. They relight. I'm accelerating. I go vertical. And, when you do the unrestricted climb, it's muscle memory, man. You're like, 1,000, 2, 1,000, roll, set, pull, right? So I'm like, 1,000. Oh, my gosh. Right?
I'm already here.
I blow through the altitude. I may or may not have had a transponder malfunction. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's right. You went MCON for just a second.
Dude, I roll over, and then boom, and I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
I call ops. I'm like, hey guys, my bad. They're like, fill out the boom book when you get back.
Oh, you went supersonic vertically?
No. After I rolled over and
okay.
Dude. I mean,
you're like, Spike, you just took off.
Yeah.
Right.
We heard it here.
Yeah, dude. It was one of the funnest things I ever did. And then I flew up to Warner Robins, and then I did some patterns, and I mean, it flew like a different airplane. It was awesome.
Dude, after flying at Slick, aren't you just convinced this is how it should be flown all the time?
All the time.
I mean, I only got to fly a Slick Hornet a couple times, and every time I'm like, oh, dude, like you said, different airplane.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So, and then from that point on, you look at that combat jet button a little differently.
Yeah.
Was it like super quiet where you're like, wait, I should be hearing somebody?
I basically recorded somebody breathing, and I just had it playing.
Talk to me, Goose.
That's hilarious.
You carried one of the Wizzo's dog tags in your hand the whole flight.
Dude, that's funny.
Aren't you supposed to go right?
Yeah, right. That's funny.
Awesome. That is hilarious. Oh man. But dude, even before that, you'd been flying, backseat T6 instructing kids. So you spent a lot of time with like teaching, right? You're doing the mentorship now, but you spent a lot of time teaching. Was that tough? Just coming out of pilot training, going, hey, like I'm a lieutenant. I'm now teaching lieutenants. Was that like
I gotta tell you, I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I liked it until I left and started doing something else. I was ready to leave, don't get me wrong, because obviously my dream, my goal was to become a fighter pilot. So the day that I got the drop assignment after my fake career to go fly the Strike Eagle, I was floored. But I've always really enjoyed sharing stories with other people, and then leaving a mark on other people, and then also them work on me. But I really enjoyed taking the pedestrian to the pilot, taking somebody that knows nothing, and watching them kind of walk across and get their wings. That was food for the soul for me. So, And then the T6 was just a great platform to do it. I wasn't really worried about the stability or the safety of the airplane.
Yeah.
So that being said, once I was experienced enough, I was able to be the instructor that was like, hey, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, and I'm going to tell you what you should do, but then I'm going to just let you do what you, I'm going to let you do you.
Yeah.
You know, and then when we come back, we can talk about it, right? I'm going to let you see what I'm going to let the mistake develop, right? That's the kind of instructor I was. I'm going to let the mistake develop. I'm going to sit back here and be quiet. And then before things go off the rail, I'll take it if I need to, or I'll just talk you back on. And a lot of times I was able to talk folks back on. But then, you know, a lot of the feedback that I got as an instructor was, hey, we really like that, you know, you give us the space to make a mistake and then to kind of figure it out, instead of being the instructor that's like you start veering off and then they grab it, they got it right, and then you start doing something else and it's like, no, what are you doing? And it's just like, you know, you're not really learning at that point. But no, I thought honestly I've drawn on my time as a FAPE throughout life, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I'm doing, whether I'm you know, talking to a new wingman in the fighter squadron, or whether I'm at the airlines and, you know, what have you.
Talking to Wombat.
Yeah, about the Porsche. Teach me how to drive.
We might want to go left. Just saying. That's where they told us to go.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I think that was a big player in me coming to the two fits, right?
I was going to ask, man, did that, because I mean, people in the show who are listening don't know, but the two fits was quite heavy on the brand new, just out of flight school base. Do they do IF? Yeah, they do IFF,
yeah,
right?
Out of IFF.
Right out of IFF. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you had these high time guys like Mover and I. So there wasn't much in the middle as far as that mentorship that you would normally get, like in a squadron where you have, you know, the more senior junior guys. So
right.
I was wondering if your experience as a first assignment instructor pilot or FAPE, you know, helped there.
It did. It was a little different because obviously as a FAPE, my job is to just produce. It's to train and to produce. But then once I got to the two fits, that is still the job. However, now you're placed in a leadership role and you're given responsibility with the care and feeding of the members of the squadron and the squadron itself. So again, it was an opportunity that I welcomed. And to this day, as a public speaker, executive consultant, right, I still find high value personally in the development of others, whether it be the development of folks through a motivational keynote or the development of a team or a vertical within a company, helping them achieve their goal. It's all the same thing. It's just one was done with airplanes and this one now is done more in a personal / business setting.
Do you think that the new pilot training that you're talking about, that's civilian, do you think they're missing out on some of that because they're missing out on that military background before they actually get to more high performance stuff?
Yes, I do. I'll be a little careful because I don't know a lot about it, but I just, how are they getting the culture? How are they getting the tradition? How are they getting to understand what it feels like to be in the flight room for 12 hours a day and not just show up to a Cessna flight school, fly a flight, and then go home, and like where all that stems from and where it comes from? Some would maybe argue that that's not important, but I think we're a service of tradition, so it's all tradition is important. Especially when you're going to ask someone to potentially make the ultimate sacrifice. I think there's value in explaining, showing, you know, exemplifying along the way of why we do what we do, why we act the way we act, why we gather the way we gather, and why we expect what we expect. So I would be interested to see if the way that they revamped everything, all that is still translating.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
and you bring up a good point about, you can pay that ultimate price. I'm doing a review this week of the AIB report of the Injept T6. I don't know if you've read it. It just came out. The long and short of it is first assignment IP, second sortie, I think it was, standard act where I remember this as a student. IP is always unstrapped and like out of the plane before you even know what, you shut down. It's just such a common thing. And I guess as they're taxiing in, he did that. They go to solo, so the seats are where they're supposed to be. They verbalize that they've saved their seat. He didn't put his pin all the way in, and then he reached down to do something, and they think, because obviously they don't know for sure, the chest strap, the hook, the little triangle hook, got caught in the handle, and when he came back up, it punched him out, and he was already unstrapped. So obviously he hit the sunshade on the way back down, and it was fatal. But that's not what you're going to get at a civilian school. That emphasis on you're sitting on a rocket motor, dude. This is an airplane that is trying to kill you until those engines shut down.
Right.
And we mitigate that risk through knowing our systems, knowing procedures, taking it seriously, all this stuff. And I'm not saying he didn't do that, but what I am saying is the consequences are very real, and everything is written in blood here.
Right.
Spike, did you have prior flying experience before military flight training?
I did. So I went to ROTC. I'm an ROTC grad, Georgia Tech here in Atlanta. I graduated from Morehouse College. So I was across town at Georgia Tech. And basically, once I got my hands on that application and I saw the amount of credit or points or whatever you want to call it that you would get, I ran down to Peachtree DeKalb Airport and I started taking flight lessons. So I did have some flight time in the Cessna. I did have some flight time in the Diamond before they sent me to Pueblo, Colorado to do initial flight screening in the Diamond. So I always just tried to prepare and set myself up to win. So I had about 70 hours before I started flight school.
Yeah, the only reason why I bring it up is because I had prior flying too, man. And I remember when your experience with a civilian instructor compared to your experience with like the first military instructors that taught me to fly, they were like heroes to me, man. And like you got, like you're alluding to, Mover, about, bringing experience and stuff, like they would just drop little nuggets, man, in the brief, and, you're eager to learn and you pick it up. And I just, so much of that I think is lost. That's why I was just curious if you kind of had that similar experience, the discrepancy between your civilian instructor when you first started and when you first started at military.
100%. And just think about it, guys. Think about the folks that you've flown with at the airline that didn't go military track. Like, what if you just think about what is the career progression for someone that doesn't go military, right? So cross check that with the folks that are going to go military, and then possibly and again, I don't know the answer, but is there a requirement for the new students based on everything you guys are talking about? Or do we have a case where we could have a brand new non-pilot flying with someone that just got their IP qual?
Yeah.
That's what they do call it, IP.
CFI.
Yes,
they're CFI.
They're CFII, right?
Yep.
Could they be flying with like a brand new CFII? And in that case, everything that Mover's talking about, everything you're talking about, like, hey, this is written in blood. These are the nuggets that I'm going to drop. These are like, that's all gone. That's, so I don't know if there's a requirement for a certain time, qualification, experience level, or if it's just like, no, this is an accredited flight school. So everybody's good here. And then, yes, I'm not pushing back. Everybody's good. But yes, my Cessna instructor pilot was a Auburn grad who was time building for corporate.
Right.
And I have I have stories of things that I thought we did that was really cool at the time, and then I look back and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa.
It was good. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, before I know we're coming close to the hour. I want to get to the audience because they all have great stuff to talk about. Spike, Multicam and Mallard says, Strike Eagle crew dog here, best jet the Air Force has. We're making history out there, unlike Viper. Shock them. Well,
Nice.
Just let it go, mover. Next question.
yeah. Well, here's one for you, Gonky. Who did the thumbnail? Who's writing sabotage 100 times in the blackboard? Gonky, did you misspell something again?
I don't know.
Probably.
Don't
Skid
know.
says, how are my peeps tonight? Did you know Skid? Did you get to fly with Skid?
I think I met him once. I don't think we ever flew together.
Skid is an awesome American. We love
Yes.
him. Spider says, hi, everybody. And Spike, DCS. Do you do DCS? Spike?
I don't.
You're married, so probably not. Yeah.
Yes. No, dude. My duties include snacks for the volleyball game and the warm-up music, man. That's
Yeah.
It's important
Allegedly.
stuff, man.
Queven is enough. Greetings from Brazil. Here again, the best aviation channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
We try. Actually, well, we don't, and that's what makes it special. Sean says, I follow Spiked on LinkedIn. Great man.
sweet.
Cool.
Thank you for
And then John Jones says, great show. My niece just started flight training at the Air Force Academy. She's so pumped. Do you have advice for his niece, Spike?
that. I don't know much about the Air Force Academy, but just live it, breathe it. You know,
Yeah.
Flying is awesome. You just got to put the work in. That's all.
John says, Spike, I'm sure many have learned from your example through your thoughtful advice. The way you navigate challenges or simply how you lead with integrity and purpose. Keep investing in our future. Thanks, John.
Nice. Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, man. Keep paying it forward, dude. Don't ever stop. That's the way to go. Fiza Dev says, Spike, what's the best thing about the Mudhead and why is it making Mover so jealous?
Hey, the best thing about the Mudhead and why he's so jealous is because when we check into the stack, it takes about 5 minutes to read off to the JTAC everything that we're carrying, everything that we can do. And Mover gets lonely, really, is what it comes down to. So he wishes.
Mm-hmm.
Look at him.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
He wishes
No, go on. Tell me about it.
he had that companion in the cockpit.
The companion. I do wish I had the last flare. I wish I had just one more flare just in case. Did you ever tell a Wizzo that? Arm the seat, Wizzo. You're the last flare.
I did not.
But Spike's like, that's a great idea.
Dude, just explain this to me. T-Bear and I have had this conversation. This is where that community lost T-Bear too. Why is it a Wizzo in another jet can hook you sitting in the front seat on a ride? Like you could be on a check ride and the Wizzo 2 jets over can hook you, the pilot. How is that not against the Geneva Convention?
Is that a thing? Does that
T-Bear
happen?
saw it. That's what he said.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
aggressive.
It's not my story.
I've never had that happen. So
Okay, maybe T-Bear's wrong. He is
I'm not
a
saying
little
he's wrong.
elderly. He forgets. He's older than Gonky.
Well,
Sometimes, yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to the thing before we got to go. Garrett says, "What's up, gentlemen? How did you all deal with leaving something you love, like flying jets, in less than ideal way? You all did. Love the vids, Mover." Well, ours was different. Spike left on his own terms. So, Spike, you have the floor.
Okay. Yes, I left on my own terms, and perhaps it was a little bit easier for me because, like I said, I was really focused on changing the chapter, focusing on the next chapter and what that meant. But I will kind of double down on initially I was a little confused, and I did think that perhaps I made the wrong choice because I was looking for the same amount of purpose, the same level of involvement in what I was doing now. But like I said earlier, I think the purpose for me lies in the time off. So, obviously got a little bit more senior, learned how to bid, all this stuff. And I'm able to almost really just plan my flying schedule around my life because flying for the airlines is not my life. I have a life now, and this is just kind of something I do to enable everything else that is going on. And once I figured that out, that's why when we had the discussion of would I ever go back, it's like, well, no, because man, that was a time suck, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Multicam and Mallards is back. Strike Eagle has both PW F-100 200s and 229s. When I was at Raffle, we had a jet do a depot acceptance flight and melt both wingtip RWR antennas in both lower UHF and the upper UHF antenna. Insane speeds or poor quality.
I'm going to go with insane speeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it ain't Boeing, I'm not going or whatever. Hammerby says, question for Spike is in what order would you rank the Mudhead, the Bumblebee, and the Fighting Falcon? What the hell's a Bumblebee?
What is
Hornet? The Hornet?
And I think you mean the Viper.
Thank you. See, you totally redeemed yourself there. Thank you.
All right. What's the Bumblebee? Is that the Hornet?
Hornet, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to talk trash on.
Yeah, I think if the Bumblebee and the Fighting Falcon flew formation against the Mudhead, it may be an even fight.
Dude,
right?
Neither jet would even have to go into burner.
One and the backseater would take the other one. So I mean, I don't.
Yeah, it would be like, oh, I'm going to be mill power only today because this is too easy.
Spike,
I'm going to have the speed brakes out the whole time.
I will say, Spike, I think you're right. To support a cast mission, it would take both Mover and I to do what just you and your best friend could do.
Yeah, but who's going to look cooler coming up initial?
Well, it's nighttime and nobody can see.
It's a cool jet, dude. I'm
you need somebody to film the merge. Timmerkin says, punch out solo. Does the Wizzo chair go too? No, he goes down with the ship.
It does. They won't spend the money on 2 seats. So
it's only to be used as a flare. Otherwise, you go with it.
The last flare.
So sorry.
I'm sorry, Dave. What were you trying to do here? Bonehead just has a picture of some Eagle jets in his thing. That's cool. Thank you, Bonehead. Heat Seeking says, sorry I'm late. Scenario. Boeing straps a dome to a 787 to make an E3 replacement and is looking for test pilots. Do you accept? No.
No.
I had a really experienced test pilot tell me don't ever fly the A model of anything. So I'm going to have to just sit.
You just flew a 70-year-old A model for like 5 years.
We rest our case. We rest our case, Mover.
Didn't they take those out of the boneyard?
Wow, dude, they came from everywhere.
A model at that point.
Yeah,
it's like an A asterisk.
They were A pluses because we had Garmins.
Right. They were
when we put the GPS, when we put the Garmins and then the iPads, they became the A plus model.
That's right. That's right.
Jennifer says, Spike, they say you learned from teaching. How did being an instructor help you as a pilot? Aim high.
Yeah, so you being an instructor, you just get to see a lot of things, right? You get to see a lot of things, you get to help people a lot of things, and then basically that grows your toolbox. And I used to always teach folks when I was out flying with them, whatever we were doing, especially when we went cross country and we were out of the airspace of flying around the flagpole. I would always try to show them as much non-standard stuff as possible, because I would say the more non-standard things you see, the more solutions you can come up with for non-standard problems. So I think being an instructor, you just see so much non-standard stuff that when you come across different issues or problems or whatever, I think the time it would take you to come up with a solution from A to B, it shrinks.
Yeah. Joe says the old saying is those who can't do teach. Spike style seems to be the antithesis. Those who can do teach better. See, exactly what you were just saying. And Bongcook, did he change his name? I don't ever remember reading it. Hello guys, sorry I just wake up. 0349. Thank you from Turkey.
Oh man,
awesome
that's
show.
Every week, man. Thank you.
Bonehead said, who is getting the schoolhouse for the EX? I think Portland, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Portland, and then I think there's a bunch that are going to go to Japan.
Stephen Billing says, hi, Spike. Have you ever played a joke on a Wizzo? And have you ever had one played on you?
Yes. Yeah. Man, this stuff we get so out of control. I can't even,
PG story. Like
I can't even recall a PG story, right? So I'll say yes.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Fair enough. Turk says, "Hey Spike, would you ever be open to getting an aviation program started at Morehouse College?"
Yeah, I think so. I think I would be if someone approached me and said, "Hey, there's something I'm trying to do." I would definitely help. I would devote some of my free time to help with that. That'd be
Did you get your CFI? Because you got, I mean, you probably could with all the.
I got my CFII.
So yeah, you could teach. I mean, have you thought about teaching on the civilian side?
I did. I did. That was actually where we were going to move into with Straighten Up Fly Right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was kind of like the next phase. It just we ran into some complications, and
yeah,
I mean,
Margot
obviously
Robbie.
Yes, it makes more sense if you kind of have a fleet of airplanes and a few bags of money, right? And when you don't, things kind of get difficult.
Harder.
Yeah. Well, last question, then we'll let you go because we know you got an early wake up. The Islamic State says local Air National Guard unit is flying the EX now. Eagles forever. Quick question: would you get in more trouble if you lost the targeting pod or the electronic countermeasures pod, ECM pod?
I'd say you get in a lot of trouble if you lost that targeting pod, man. That targeting pod was the bread and butter of everything we did. So you come back without that, people are going to know. You come back without the other one, they'll be like, it's late. Let's go home. We'll figure it out.
What if you came back without the Wizzo, though?
No one would notice.
Which one would it be?
Is it Monday though, or
I mean, let's go back to let's unpack this. Does the Wizzo do your walk around? I mean, is it like having an FO, or you just send them out? It's raining. They do the walk around. You strap in, get all cozy, like they do all the mission planning for you. Like, is this something I'm missing out on?
You're getting warmer.
Yeah,
they talk on the radios, so you don't have to talk to anybody.
Warmer. They do a vast majority of the mission planning.
Do they do your walk around though?
They do not do the walk around.
Do they talk on the radios for you though? Do they load everything on the pre-flight so you don't have to do all that stuff?
No, I mean, they have their weapons, we have ours. So they have things that they load, and then we have things that we load. When we walk out to the jet, depending on how our loadout, right? Like there are things I'm checking, there are things they're checking. They may be putting in laser codes and stuff like that. And, I'll just check them and make sure it makes sense. Like, why does it say 6969? That's not even. No, you're gonna miss.
That's right. Oh, that's funny, man.
All right. Well, Spike.
Hey, you remember back in the day when you had to do it all yourself?
Always. Yeah. That's my whole life. Even today.
I've done single seat and 2 seat, man. So I speak both languages.
Even today.
Thank you guys.
Dude, Spike's been awesome, man.
For being here with us again. It's great catching up with you, dude. It's been too long. Don't be a stranger.
Dude.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed it. And be safe, whatever you end up doing tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, I got to Texas and back, and then I'm going to Connecticut, and there's just a massive forecast of thunderstorms. So it'll be great.
Go around it, make some money.
There is no mission.
No mission. Just go around it, make some money, man.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll have to catch up with you guys a lot sooner next time.
All right, man.
Like, great seeing you,
have a good one. Thanks for coming to our show.
God bless, man.
See ya. Good night.
Good.
All right. Gonky. Part 2 of the show.
Yeah.
How have you been,
man? Dude, talking to Spike there, man. I want to go fly fast jets again. I mean, every time we have Skid or Gono or T-Bear Spike on, it's like it's almost like we're back get back into the swing of things, right? Poking fun at one another, and
I know.
Yeah, good dude, man.
He's the only cool Strike Eagle guy I've ever met.
Yeah, the list is longer for the ones that are not cool.
I know.
Sure. We had a couple cool guys.
He's a test pilot. I don't even consider him a Strike Eagle guy.
Oh yeah. Dude. Now he's a Fat Amy guy.
Yes. Well, I think he retired.
Did he?
Yeah. He wrote a book. We got to get him on.
Dude, it'll hit me. Yeah. It'll hit me at some point. I'm getting old, dude. I can't. I don't remember. But anyway, he was cool. The rest of them, no.
unless you're cool, in which case you're cool. But if you're listening and you're cool, then you're okay. Because I'm going to get hate mail for denigrating an entire community of people. But that's fine.
It's not the first time.
Nobody's ever gotten canceled for something like that, right?
No, dude. You've never been in trouble either, so it's good to go.
I've never been in trouble, especially not around Spike. He's never seen such things. Doug, hey man, how was your weekend?
That was exhausting.
Stall, mover.
Stall.
It was another
is
S.
Good people. See, stall is good people.
Spike, Samsonite, Singapore, stall.
I knew his first name, and I just didn't want to say it.
Yeah,
that's how your brain works past 40.
Dude, it's getting way worse too fast, Doug.
Yeah. But anyway, Doug, how are you?
I had a good weekend, mover. You were there.
Yeah,
that's funny. Looks hot. Looks real hot.
Like dude, that was the magic shot.
I still don't believe it.
That's a 9mm and a 5.56 barrel.
Yeah. Well,
I still don't believe it.
Oh, look, oh, come on, dude. Really? Sabotage.
Sabotage.
Dude,
I'm gonna have to fire the dude who does the thumbnails.
So, somebody put Tamcots in the chat too as a result.
Tamcots.
Hey, first of all, where's the little red squiggly line under that? Come on.
It's highlighted.
Well, yeah, this is because whoever
Dude, is this even a Strike Eagle? Why does it have so many AMRAMs?
That's not a Strike Eagle, sir.
It's EX.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, it's the last day of Eagle Appreciation Month.
Oh, we should have had Spike on for that one.
Yeah.
All the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's fun, dude.
So if you're an Eagle driver, happy June.
Happy June. Yeah.
Renee says, gentlemen, you have a great purpose. You get there in one piece. Thank you. We try. You know why? Because if you get there in one piece, odds are we got there in one piece. That's what's important.
Yes.
Brian says YouTube switching over to handle, so lots of names have changed. Names have changed to protect the innocent. What did you do this weekend, Gonky? Anything manly? Tool the Tim Man?
No, man.
That was for the pre-show. I'm sorry, nobody gets
that.
That
Was the pre-show. Yeah, come on, mover, dude. Come on. No, man. Just hung out with the family. I don't know. We've got some projects going on the real estate side, and then we got some family stuff going. And yeah, man, I'm just living the dream, dude. It was actually a pretty good weekend. I can't complain. Wasn't quite as exciting as yours.
Good.
I could complain, but I won't.
Yeah, complaining. You know what though? See, here's what happens when you complain. You write a 1-star review for a company, and they try to get you fired.
That's true. And then
from your volunteer job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your dog. They try to get you and your dog fired from your volunteering.
Which is crazy.
Which is all over 1 stars. So don't write a 1-star review. Or do and exercise your First Amendment rights. It's either way. We've actually got topics to talk about, so we're not lying.
We got a couple. Yep, that was an hour ago. That was good. Congrats.
Yeah. So Yahoo News, there's nothing new on Air India yet, except the theories and stuff are there's been a lot of stupid theories that have come out because people have gotten these fake India Transportation Board reports that don't exist. So there's no official preliminary report or anything. In fact, I think they just finally got the black boxes to where they need to be to start downloading them and decoding them and stuff like that. But there was an article. Doug, do you have that? Is that what this is?
I have one from the Telegraph.
Yeah. So I brought this up when we actually covered this, and I said, look, I hope they're not actually quoting me in this. The investigators are going to look at everything.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, it's obvious. We're like, well, nothing is obvious until we get there. But now the civil aviation minister is saying they're examining all possibilities, including sabotage, which is the correct answer. Because if you start ruling stuff out immediately, you may miss something. And I think in a place where they were just in a shooting contest, it is not unreasonable to look at all possibilities, because the odds of 2 engines on a modern airliner failing simultaneously without some known cause, i.e. birds, FOD, or whatever, very tough. It's a very tough thing to explain. So, yeah, like the minister's talking about, it's a rare case. It never happens that both engines have shut down together. So they're going to look at everything, including the CVR, what they were saying. The jet is very smart. It's going to look at all the parameters and what was happening. The only thing they really kind of ruled out is the bird strike, because they have found no bird material. Plus, those engines are so big, it would take a lot of birds to have that kind of effect. And for both of them to flame out like that, although it did happen at the Hudson, those engines were still spinning, and it's a lot different. But Gonky, what do you think, man? I mean, it's not really news, but it's news. You know, it's kind of the latest update, which is they're looking at everything.
Yeah, I think it kind of stems from the fact that they're under pressure to get answers, right? So they've had the black boxes and the CVR for I think about a week now, and I was reading that, you know, they're in India. It's like, hey, what's the holdup? India says that they're not going to basically reach out to any other countries for any help. Although I think Boeing and GE already went over there, like we talked about before, just to see, hey, is there something that we need to put out as far as, other engines on 787s or the airframe itself? But dude, they're under pressure to get some answers out there, and it's obviously not happening fast enough. And like you said, I think they owe it to all the victims and, to the future of aviation to look into all possibilities. And dude, sabotage has happened numerous times in the past to airliners. I mean, it's unfortunately it's not, I mean, it's not that it's common, but it's not uncommon. So I think they're doing the investigation justice and looking at all possibilities.
Due diligence.
Yeah, due diligence
is really what it boils down to. I mean, sometimes, simplest explanation, sometimes it's not. Sometimes, I mean, it would not be the first time some sabotage or criminal act has brought down an airliner. But they're going to look at mechanical. They're going to look at human factors. They're going to look at the Swiss cheese model, which I know some people hate, but it's the things that line up, right? Where you have mechanical plus human factors plus compounding emergencies and stuff like that. It's very rarely just hey, that's what did it. This happened. This then was the response, which was not exactly right, which was wrong. Like it always kind of cascades. We'll see.
It could be they could find a very obvious thing. I mean, it could be, ran out of gas. Well, okay, why? Right? I mean, it's not.
How do you run out? Yeah.
Right. Right. So that's not the end of, and I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it could be something very glaring that actually caused the airplane to crash. But then there's a bunch of causal factors that happened before that, and those, it's like we say, you stop that domino at any point there and it would have been prevented. So, I mean, it takes time to do a thorough investigation, especially on a crash like this.
So there's two things that kind of raise an eyebrow for me and just how long it's taken. One, the engines and the data presumably were out instantaneously. Like there's a lot of data coming from that aircraft at all times. So my question, and this is kind of going to be, what's next? Boeing is under the microscope because of, all their history, everything that's happened, the Jeju crash, all this stuff, MCAS, everything, 787 delivery problems. They've had to take them down for inspections and stuff like that. Boeing probably has a lot of information on this already, and so does GE.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a lot of operators with a lot of skin in the game, including U.S. operators. So my question is it an issue where the Indian government is not allowing them the information, or do they know? In which case, the fact that we haven't had any kind of service, airworthiness directives, emergency notices to airline operators, the fact that nothing has come out in the several weeks since this has happened, is that an indication one way or the other, or is it a matter of Indian authorities aren't talking? Are there, it's kind of a blackout, because that first one is a bad thing, because if there is something that is affecting the entire fleet, we need to know about it right now. We don't need to know a causal, hey, we don't need the whole report. But if there's something like you're talking about where, something in the engines, the electronic systems, if there's something that could be replicated, every operator of a 787 needs to know that. And they need to be looking out for it. And they need to inspect these aircraft. But if it's something that Boeing already knows, then that kind of leads you down toward, they haven't put anything out yet. So it's probably, human factors or something, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't operate under FAA rules. What's the European
ESA
rules? Yeah. So there's wickets that they're supposed to meet as far as the investigation goes. And, as of right now, from what I've read, they're on timeline. But like you said, Mover, I mean, I kind of like we said the last show, I kind of think probably Boeing and GE have most, if not everything they need in determining, if they're, the issues with the engine or the airframe. But I mean, I don't know if they're sharing data. I have no idea how that's going on, because like I said, the Indians are doing their own investigation, and how they decimate how they release the information that they find. I mean, that's anybody's guess at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen where near immediate they've issued emergency airworthiness direct. I mean, MCAS. Look how well, the first one they didn't, but the second one, I mean, they had that out fairly quickly,
right?
In terms of procedures to deal with that and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, when you've got multiple interests that stand to lose a lot, it kind of, you wonder how that muddies the waters, because so many different entities are going to try to save face versus finding the truth, which to me is the most important thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, 787s are still flying with no, surprise ADs or anything weird like that, and the motors are still, nothing crazy from the engine manufacturer. So I don't know, man. I mean, we just sit tight and, hopefully that let the. I think, dude, the black box CVR is going to reveal a lot.
Oh yeah. Those were GE engines.
GE, yeah, that's right.
Hammerby says, "Were you trying to save money by shooting 9mm?" No. Renee says, "Look, it's the magic bullet from JFK." Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Joe says, "I could be wrong about this, but I seem to remember reading somewhere that India Air had fuel filter issues elsewhere." Yeah, I don't know.
No, man.
We'll see what they end up coming down with. And then news out of Ukraine. Unfortunately, the Ukrainian Air Force has announced that they lost another F-16. First class pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Maxim Ostamenko, born in 1993.
Wow.
Wow, Lieutenant Colonel from 93.
I know.
Was killed in action flying F-16. Did everything he could to steer the aircraft away from the populated area. He didn't have time to eject. Our deepest condolences to his family. What does he stand in?
MiG-29, right?
Yeah, so I was going to say, so he used to be a MiG-29 pilot, which I'm assuming a lot of the Viper conversion folks. They said that he was downed during Russian drone attack. So he had taken out some drones. And then one of the things I saw mentioned something about FOD, like he might have hit, like, flown through the blast pattern of what he was shooting down.
Yeah.
but they're not going to admit if it is a shoot down by a Russian jet. They've never confirmed or denied that, if that's possible, or if that's what happened, or if it was FOD or whatever. So we don't necessarily know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, so I guess Russia launched like a 400 drone strike,
huge attack,
500 drone strike, and F-16s were part of the defense. And kind of like you're alluding, I mean, we don't like to speculate, but he had shot down a couple of drones, and the idea of FODing yourself. I mean, what if you're down to just the gun mover, right? And it's a slow moving drone, and you're trying to gun it. I mean, I could totally see, you press the target. That's always a real thing with when you're using the gun. If you press the target. So I mean, that's all plausible. I even saw some stuff where it got shot down, which I don't know. Like I said, when it comes to, sorry, go ahead.
That's what the Ukrainian article had said, was that it had, he was defending the country and had damage during the intercept, is all it says, which that usually implies 537 targets, cruise ballistic and hypersonic missiles, as well as the Shahed type drones. God, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a massive offensive
3 hours, while the drone attack was 10 hours. God, I can't even imagine, man.
Yeah,
flying for that long. But it's the third Ukrainian F-16 pilot to die in combat. Remember Juice?
Yep, he was the first, right?
No, first was Moonfish.
Okay.
Juice was killed training for it.
That's right.
In a trainer.
That's right.
But he was going to the F-16, and Moonfish was the first. Pavlo Ivanov was killed during a combat mission in April 2025. So August of 24, April of 25. Constant risk of full-scale invasion with no sign of letting up. But it doesn't say. It says it was damaged and he crashed and couldn't eject. And usually when you say something was damaged, I mean, what could damage it, right? FOD from what you just shot down, or you got shot down. I mean, that's kind of your two options.
A projectile, some sort of projectile.
Yeah.
From the outside. Yeah.
I mean, that's wow.
I don't know, man. I know we keep saying it. I mean, it's people are dying, and it's frustrating, that we just can't get an end in sight to this. Because I mean, dude, 93. I mean, he's
32. He's 32.
Yeah, I mean,
as a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, compared to that, I mean, he's a young guy. I mean, I don't know.
That's usually like a major.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, they're in a war. People are dying. I mean, promotions are happening. I mean, right? World War II, there were 24-year-old majors.
I'm saying like under normal circumstances, normal progression, that would be about a major.
Yes.
I mean, these dudes are getting a ton of experience, like a ton of real world experience. This is not. I mean.
No. Yeah.
I don't. I think also one of the things that may be something to think about is, when I went from the Viper to the Hornet, or Hornet to the T-38, right? And you probably saw this going from the Hornet to T-38. Your sense of scale changes. When you're flying a big jet trying to intercept, like I remember when I was in the F-16, the Hornet guys would come out and we'd BFM, and like I'd see him immediately. Like I'm like, all right, Tally. He's like, where are you? I'm like, 5 miles or whatever. Because to me, with my little 33-foot wingspan, everything was a big jet. And I think guys that spent their whole careers flying MiG-29s and stuff, they get this sight picture, and that could be a factor too. And like you were talking about, you're chasing a very small drone, and now you've transitioned to an F-16, and you were very experienced looking at this sight picture. You knew how your aircraft performed. You go to a something different, and now everything you're used to seeing, your mill sizing, all that stuff is different. Closure rates, how far am I estimating distances and stuff? It changes because it's what you get used to.
Yeah, you're 100%. I mean, for sure, that's a factor. I mean, in Malaysia, they had MiG-29s, and in there, we work with those guys. I go in the briefing room, and their instrumentation's different, right? I mean, how they are, how pilots of MiG-29s are fed knowledge or flight parameters is different than the F-16. East versus west. Side picture, you're right, man. Different size airplanes. I mean, when I fought the Su-30, we set up for a beam set. I'm a half a mile to a mile off because it's a big airplane. I'm trying to make it look like a Hornet, right?
Yeah.
When we fought first time you fight the F-5, they tell you don't make the F-5 look like a Hornet, right? Because all these, these are little things, but there's a lot of little things, and they add up. And especially like you're saying, Mover, if these guys aren't in training, man, they're in actual combat, and I'm sure even the best pilot, you're test saturated, man, and all
there's
it takes
debrief, and there's no debrief to come back and go, hey, how did it's just, did I die? No, great job, next.
Correct. We're fueling your airplane, we're putting more weapons on it, you're going back out. But there's it doesn't take much to really get the train off the tracks. And I'm not saying he was like behind the airplane or something like that, but I can't imagine going from a MiG-29 to an F-16 during wartime and then having to, no kidding, most of your experience, like I'm sure you look in their logbook, they're like, dude, like 95% of your flight time is combat time in this airplane, right? So it's wild.
Well, and dude, think about the stress you're under.
Right.
It's not just, we flew in combat, okay, I may not have a place to go home. Like my wife and kids may not exist if I do this wrong. Like there's a lot of external stress because you are defending your homeland. They are attacking you. Like that is a totally different world that like it's very hard to, as an American, to even understand because thankfully we haven't lived it. And respect to them, respect to those guys doing that.
Yeah. Well, nickel on the grass for him, man.
Absolutely.
You always hey, get shot down. Did he eject? Good. That's good. But I mean, it's always sad to hear, when they didn't get out.
Yeah.
When life is lost.
Yeah, that's awful. Is that a car? No, now it says it right.
There we go. Yeah. So
don't you think we rely on electronics too much? I mean, I miss the old times. VOR, TAC in, NDB, min. At least you were going. Now screens. I don't know how to fly an NDB approach anymore.
So I used to teach it, man. And let me tell you that. Oh, dude, that was a when I finally figured it out for me, I was like, okay, I got it. Then I had no problems. But they used to have this thing, head falls, tail rises, and I was like, what are you talking about? So yes, I think we rely on electronics too much, but I like electronics.
Marshall said, off topic, but somewhere related. Thoughts on the CAC statement regarding China Eastern 5735 saying disclosure may endanger national security? That's what I'm talking about with the Air India stuff, where, you might not have transparency because that's BS, I mean, you know what they're talking about?
No, I mean, China Eastern's a airline. I know that.
It's the domestic passenger jet that crashed. It just descended and hit the ground. Like it just went into the vertical notch, essentially.
When?
2020.
Oh, so not recent. Okay.
21 March 2022. Deadliest in the history of China Eastern Airlines. Had 132 killed.
What was it? A 7-3? 7-3.
Yeah. 7389. 738.
Yeah.
There's video of it. It's just vertical into the ground. And so we'll never know what happened. But again, that's things that the Chinese government may think will spook the herd.
Right.
Like Air Wings kind of situation or something where, that could happen again. We can't pinpoint exactly because it could happen again.
Show no weakness, right? They want to show no weakness, no chinks in our armor here.
You can't say that, Gonky.
I can't.
No. Not when talking about Chinese airlines.
Oh, I just realized what I. Sorry, China. My bad.
Please don't. Gonky. 7
Just
says
say.
Mover and
Just
Gonky
say.
just
What can I
tuned
say?
in. Wanted to know if y'all ever reenacted Colonel Toom in DCS. If not, I'd still love to see it. Did we? Didn't we do that?
Which I think we did. Yeah. Yeah.
Did we?
That was Gonky and a MiG, right?
Yeah. I think it was
Don't I
when
need
we
to be
did.
an F4?
Oh yeah, it's time.
We didn't have an F4 back then. We haven't done that.
Yeah. What's funny is when I forgot my flight lead qual, I was, my scenario and I brief, I was always Colonel Toon. So
Jim Norton's alcoholism says you're allowed. You've got to pass.
I honestly didn't even. It's a saying, right? So I don't.
It's a just drop it from your. It's like, you know what I'm saying? That's two things you need to.
No, what are you saying?
What are we saying? Oh boy! Hey, your buddy from North Korea hasn't shown up yet.
I know.
Well, sad.
Yeah, and hey, don't use your VPN because I really want to see. We got one viewer from.
Yeah, we were checking the analytics and we're like, we got one viewer
Where's
from
he at?
South Korea, but none from North Korea. So
He's probably using a VPN, dude.
yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Do they have anything cool you could fly? Like fly over there and go fly?
In North Korea?
Yeah, MiG-29.
Some old MiGs, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say no.
he needs to get him to buy some J-20s or something for you to fly in.
Yeah.
2-seat J-35 or something.
Kim, let's go do some airplane.
Dude, you could be in charge of his Air Force.
Senior
Supreme
honorable
leader.
Supreme
Honorable
leader
Gonky, sir.
Honorable Gonky.
Honorable Gonky, sir.
10-star Admiral General.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of busy, man.
You're kind of busy. It's like Spike said, it's just too much work. Like you look at it, you're like, there's a lot to that. I don't know.
I'll be a consultant here from the States, so it's cool.
No, because that's called treason.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. There's that. Remember that Australian guy that went to jail? That would be you.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, they went
I don't
right
go
to
to
his
jail.
door. Yeah. You're too pretty for jail, Gonky. You would be somebody's girlfriend very quickly. Hey, man, go.
Yeah. Doug, do you have the article? There we go. All right. F-15EX. Oh, man. Should have had Spike on for this. U.S. dedicates $3.1 billion to the EX for the fiscal 2026 budget. So latest generation of the Eagle. So that puts them up to, I believe, 129 airplanes. So, looking through the article, they suggest that, hey, maybe it's a good idea we keep the Boeing fighter line open until maybe F-47 comes online, because Super Hornet line, I think, is closing in about a year, and they build them in the same plant there in St. Louis. So the EX is, like I said, the latest and greatest version of the Eagle. It's, Gen 4.5, augment the F-35. And it didn't mention it in this article, but in that 2026 budget, they reduced the number of F-35 deliveries. So
we talked about that like a couple shows ago, remember?
No, because I'm old, but I just thought that they've increased orders for the EX, decreased orders for the F-35. Not sure if you can read a lot into it. I just thought that was interesting. But I talked a little bit too about how originally the EX squadrons are going to be a little bit smaller than traditional squadrons. So maybe plussing up in the airplanes, they can get the same number that the C's and D's used to have, which I forget how many airplanes were in Air Force Squadron. River could probably help me out, but yeah, overall, man,
could be 16 or 24.
Yeah, they were a couple down, but Mover, what do you think, man? Plussing up on the EX Gen 4.5.
I love it. I mean, as long as Boeing can produce, which this is the fighter side of the house, so they have a better track record. American jobs, American jets, keeping the assembly line rolling. I still think you need the F-35, as demonstrated by Operation Midnight Hammer. Midnight Thunder would have been a
Thunder,
better.
Hammer, it's all,
Hammer, Midnight.
yeah.
But you have to replace, and I wonder how I don't think it's said, but how the distribution is going to work out, right? Because you've got a lot of places, which we never even talked about. Maryland was kind of given the old bait and switch, the A-10s versus the Vipers, and then nothing. Remember that? They were getting rid of their A-10s, and they're like, we're going to give you the Vipers, and then they didn't. There are a lot of guard units that this is perfect for. And Air Force Reserve, this is perfect for, where it's unit equipped, and you need a 4.5 gen fighter that can sit alert, that can go out there and do the mission, the theater security packages, the deployments, not necessarily Midnight Hammer, but everything else leading up to that or after that. And the Eagle jet is a very capable platform. It's not, everybody's stealth, but dude, when you've got the sensors that thing has and the self-protection capabilities that thing has, and carrying, 12 AMRAAMs, 12 missiles with
I think it's like 20, and it's something crazy like
extra gas.
Yeah.
And you got 2 seats, but you don't put anybody in the back. Just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. The Eagle, I hate to say it does have a pretty stellar air-to-air record, the C&D model. And then, there's no denying, I'm a fan of the small, nimble fighter, but, one of the issues with the Charlie Hornet was like just its ability to the growth, right? It was limited to what it could do. I mentioned before, like the generators couldn't handle the more modern avionics you put in, right? So, the big fighter, which I guess the only one left, well, from 4th gen era would be the F-15. There's a lot of potential in that airplane, and dude, as Mover would say, the things that maybe don't matter, but they have enhanced the flight controls to where it's, it looks like a significantly better BFM machine just from the flight. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. So it can do things that,
not just BFM. We've seen the videos of them doing intercepts with the Civil Air Patrol. I've talked about it. The AIB, where the guy punched out because he went to the backup mode on the F-16 by accident and ended up departing. You have to be able to fly. You have to be highly maneuverable in a lot of the stuff they do in Homeland Defense. So, okay, low, slow VIDs, all that stuff. That's all important to have.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of, the Eagle jet is one of those airplanes that I think can really truly do a lot of multi-role stuff pretty darn good. It can get up and get high, get fast. It can do the intercept stuff. It's got some legs because it's big, carries the gas. It can be your mini B1, right? Because it can carry a bomb load. So, the issue is it's an expensive 4th gen airplane.
Well, and that's the thing.
Get a lot for your money.
It's the same price as the F-35, roughly. The cost over time.
Right. But then I come full circle back to, for example, for that mission that they did defending Israel, right? I'd argue the EX would be a way better platform because you have way more ammo, right? Time on, the whole 9 yards.
That's what I was going to say. I agree with that. The Ukraine mishap we just talked about to go a lot better with an EX. If you're talking, I need to defend the homeland against ballistic missiles and everything, I want to do it in an EX or a Raptor.
Yeah.
I want something that can go fast, see everything, and do the work.
We're loyal to our first fighters, but at the end of the day, it's really, what is the mission, right? What's the best tool for the mission? And there's a lot that the Eagle brings to the table, man. So,
yeah. Well, that's cool that they're doing that. Very nice of them.
I love to fly it, man. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Jealous of all the EX pilots.
Yeah. Rhino IA, Internal Affairs. Internal Affairs has gotten to you, Gonky. Good job getting the stream demonetized, Gonky. Here's $5 to make up for it. That'll go straight to Gonky's HR sensitivity training. That's a swear jar.
Dude, the world we live in today, I can't. Anyways,
Joe says, I'm worried they'll blame it on you guys, thanks to Gonky bullying India.
I'm not bullying India. Come on.
Hey, is my internet working?
Yeah, dude, you haven't fizzled out.
I've had the connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router the entire show. It's
I literally think they're messing with you now, dude, because you've been.
Yeah. Oh no, I said that, and now it says connection's fairly good. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router, moving closer to it. And now it's it's mippling. Thag says Supreme Air Marshal Gonky. Hawkeye reminds me that the First Amendment exists. The government cannot infringe upon your rights, but that doesn't mean you can't get canceled.
Yeah, that's true.
Mogo Media. See you in HR tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Strike one.
Yeah, that'll be in your file.
Yeah, exactly.
HR rep is Doug.
Yeah.
Luminary says, Doug, you're muted if you tried to say something in response.
No, I thought about it and then thought better.
EX budget, which has the best energy maneuvering characteristics per dollar? Oh, I didn't know there was going to be math involved.
Oh, that's a
EX, Hornet, Viper, Fat Amy, Raptor.
Viper, probably.
Energy maneuvering characteristics per dollar?
Viper, dude. Hands
EX.
down. No, hands down.
Oh,
F-16.
per dollar.
Yeah, per
Yeah,
dollar,
F-16.
dude.
Per F-16.
Hands
yeah.
down, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's why there's like 8,000 of them in service, dude. Just like for bang for the buck, it's hard to beat.
They used to be like 40 million a piece. Yeah. Mike says, can you imagine taking off into a MEZ, missile engagement zone?
Mm-hmm.
Props to Ukrainian pilots. Some Ukrainian air-to-air and SAM missiles have huge range. Huge.
Yep, they do.
Huge. Ace Diamond says Selfridge Air Base in Michigan got saved and supposedly is getting the EX, and that's who needs it. Guard reserve, man.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Grossi 3D says Thor's hammer. I think that'd be like a copyright thing or something. Can't use it. All right. Gonky, I think this is yours too. Because I don't know.
Yeah. Bring it up. J10C for Iran. So this is from the Bulgarian military.com. Iran bets on the J10C to counter Israeli F-35. So Operation Midnight Hammer. The 12 days, the 12 days of war they've had with Israel has kind of highlighted the inadequacies of the Iranian air defense, apparently. So if you guys remember, Iran ordered Su-35s a while ago from Russia. They did not materialize. Rumor is those jets went to Algeria. So they're looking for a better airplane than what they have. So Iran's fighter fleet is basically what they bought from the U.S. in the 70s. Tomcats, F-5s, F-4s.
Tomcats. Well,
Tomcats.
Rest in peace.
That's right. So yeah, Iran's Air Force, a relic of the past. So they've done what they can with those third and fourth gen fighters. Obviously when the US left in the 70s, we took a lot of the expertise with us, but they've got those airplanes are still flying today. So they're looking for something newer. The J10C has gotten a lot of publicity in the India-Pakistan engagement from not too long ago. So they're looking to the J10C to help them reinforce their ability to defend themselves. The article talks a little bit about the capabilities of the J10, the radar, that carries the PL-15, which is a pretty long range missile. But, Mover, they don't currently have any Chinese aircraft, right? So, you buy the J10C, and I think that there's like 30 or 40 of them they're maybe looking at buying, but I mean, you have to bring all that. Now you have to bring all the logistics also with that, and to stand that up. That's not like you flip on the switch and all of a sudden you got your engine shops and programs and all your avionics techs and all just the knowledge know-how to keep the J10 flying. So I don't think this is like an overnight this can't be an overnight plan. This is more of a long-term maybe look. But what do you think of Iran getting the J-10?
I love that the article says deed. Suck it, nerds.
It says what?
Deed. It says destruction of enemy air defense versus.
Oh,
Deuce told me we don't use that anymore, and I said it's always going to be deed in my heart.
okay.
So think about this, Gonky. One of the things it points out is it's got an ESA and can carry the PL-15.
Mhm.
Where did we just see the J-10 in action?
Yeah.
Pakistan,
Right.
right? Allegedly 2 kills from.
Mhm.
I mean, we know there were kills. Now, whether the J-10 did it or whatever, we don't know. But probably the J-10 got at least a kill in that conflict. So that's a real world evidence. So countries are now clamoring to get, their hands on things that have been combat proven. They're not going to get the F-35, obviously, but they're saying they want to go against the Israelis. Personally, I don't think it matters what they buy. They're not going to have a shot in hell against that Air Force. My opinion only. I've seen it. I know that the Israelis can do some good work, and they did. Somebody got mad at us when we covered the Operation Midnight Hammer. I'm going to get it right eventually. They got mad at us because we didn't mention that Mossad and the Israeli Air Force had paved the way for that. And actually, we did. We did mention the fact that the air defenses were pretty much non-existent, and what was left was taken down with seed and 5th gen assets. The J-10 is not a 5th gen fighter. That's great. It may augment what they have because they really don't have a lot of great stuff. I mean, maybe some MiG-29s, maybe some other fighters that are non-US, like you talked about the F-5 and stuff. But is it going to move the needle? No. The Su-35s, I think, were equally dangerous. But, dude, in 2025... if you're going up against the Israelis, you're going to need a lot. You need to go to Turkey, go talk to those dudes about the con and hope that works out. You need to go to South Korea and talk to the KF-21 manufacturers. You need to go something to get you, or you need to ask China for the J-20. You need to start, or if you're going to get the J-10, you need to buy a bunch, like hundreds upon hundreds of them to even have that's great, but it's not going to do what the article said, which is give them a chance against Israel. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like saying, is the F-35 going to do it all by itself? The answer is no, right?
Yeah.
So any kind of large scale air offensive or defensive, man, there's a lot of planning, training, and logistics behind the mission. I mean, like the Midnight Hammer mission, right? Like we talked about last week, man, the logistics, right? Just to get the weapons on target is incredible. So, hey, is the J-10C an upgrade from what they have? Maybe, probably. Is it a step in the right direction towards modernizing their Air Force? I'd say yes. But like you said, is it going to make much of a difference right now or in the foreseeable future? I don't.
Mossad will take them out on the ground. What I think they need to worry about is becoming good neighbors.
Yeah.
And working on diplomacy.
Stop fighting.
Stop funding.
Stop fighting.
Terror organizations. Hamas.
Yes. Stop fighting.
Both sides.
Stop fighting, man.
Stop being a douchebag and focus on quality of life for your people.
Yeah. And
getting along with your neighbors. Yeah. This is not going to help you.
Yeah.
It's just, we just want, but it's all theater. It's all theater. I mean, they buy these and we're going to posture and it'll be tit for tat, but it's all theater.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Alex, Aviation and Adventure, saw the F-15EX dirty demo last year. I think it was the air-to-air configuration. It was awesome. Hell yeah.
That's awesome, man.
And then Rhino IA says, how much on-hand support do you think was involved from Lockmart and the Air Force during Israel F-35 ops? Do F-35 partner countries get all debrief notes? I mean, so the Israelis have done their own work on their own F-35s.
It depends.
But I think they buy the aircraft with some level of support from the
Depends.
manufacturer.
Yeah, so with the Hornet, right? So various countries used that airplane, and that's a lot of times that's part of the sale, you know. So it's not just, I mean, I guess you could work a deal. It's like we'll just ship you the airplanes, and you know, you do your thing. But you know, you also are going to get support because you have to learn how to not only have to learn how to fly the airplane, you got to learn how to maintain it properly. So that probably really depends on who the customer is and you know what level of support they wanted in the deal. So it depends.
Standard fighter pilot answer.
I
I mean, so if you're talking the classified stuff, it depends. There's stuff that we tell people. There's stuff we don't tell people. I mean, there's just like every country has its stuff that it shares and stuff that it keeps close to the vest. Like that's just the way it works.
Yep.
What about a Kai FA-50 Block 3 jet APIC whiz for Iran?
I mean, that sounds fun.
Yeah, but is that gonna, like, we're talking against the Israelis with their F-16s and F-35s.
With I don't know, from an outsider looking in, I just think the Israelis, it's not that they have F-35, F-16, that helps, but they are very good at their plan. They have a very good plan. Like they're yes, they have good intelligence. They have a good plan. They have a high standard of training. I mean, it's not just an airplane.
And it's hard for us to even accurately assess because the Iranians haven't gotten airborne on anything.
No.
Like, what are we, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, in any of these conflicts, they haven't even tried. And if they have tried, you know, I mean,
they're not saying, and we haven't heard about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, on to airline. This made the New York Post. So one of these days, Gonky, we're going to be famous enough that we're going to end up in the New York Post. They're going to take one of our YouTube videos and put us in the. I didn't write that, by the way. That's you. Everybody blames Mover when it's a title that's something that's Gonky. So Elizabeth Carpin of the New York Post writes, I'm a commercial pilot. People will be shocked to know how much money I make. But she's not talking about that. She's talking about pilot Garrett Ray revealed on his YouTube channel how much he makes flying out of New York's airports. And it may shock you. Gonky, it really will probably shock you. He left his viewers gobsmacked. Prepare to be gobsmacked, Gonky, by announcing that he makes $213.97 per hour as a first officer, otherwise known as a co-pilot. Why'd she have to go and say that? So there he is in uniform, taking a selfie and posting it against company policy. Also against company policy. Continue. You're not supposed to take a. With that, don't put your resignation, switch vocations just yet. It's not 9 to 5. He goes days without flying. Wait, what? That's the bad side? And often has long wait times between an outbound flight and his return home. For example, he did a JFK to Phoenix and was forced to wait. I love the language here. Forced to wait 24 hours for a layover before he can return. He says it's not the best bang for buck. He's away for 40 hours and only paid for his 10 hours of flight. That's not how the contract works. So he needs to probably learn that before he goes. But
wait, is he moonlighting there as a CFI? Like while he's passing the time? What's he doing?
No, that's him explaining in the video using the whiteboard.
How much money he makes?
How much money he makes. His time away from base, he made $1,500. But scroll down. He deadheaded. He talked about that. He's making $17,000 a month for 80 hours of work. If he is promoted to captain, that's not what it's called. It would be $350 an hour. That's $27,000 an hour. Talk about flying high. Gonky, you're an airline pilot. Explain this to me.
Those numbers don't register with me.
Sorry,
there's no way that real pilots make that much money. I don't know, man. I think sorry. You go ahead.
This is the guy that made the video critiquing the United 777 guys after they had a engine problem that they didn't sound cool enough on the radio.
Yeah, and he was a regional guy at the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, sure, that's fine. You know, we all make mistakes. I look at all of these airline pilot influencers. I'm an airline pilot. You're an airline pilot. Gonky, Blanco Lirio, airline guy.
Yeah, Gonky.
The three of us, if you add Juan in this, there's one thing in common. You don't see us in our uniforms. Like there's something about that because it's an appeal to authority is what it is. I mean, Doug, you can back me up on the psychology of it, but there's this appeal to authority for the branding. And I get it. You know, I when I first started the channel, I made a video and I was in a uniform, and I think it's like one of the cringiest things I've ever done, because it was like a vlog going places, and for whatever reason I thought that was gonna be good. I never did it again. There are a lot of people that make their brand off of this and constantly do videos, getting clearances, which, by the way, it's in the box. You don't need to talk to anybody. I don't know why we're doing this, but I'm sorry.
At some place, yes.
That's right. You're right. At the airlines where they're making $213 an hour, it's in the box. You don't have to call anybody. Usually. I understand telling because there's a lot of kids and stuff that, they want to know how much this profession pays. And I think that's good knowledge. That's good information, because people don't understand that it's based off of flight time and duty rigs and stuff like that, not a 40-hour work week. And some of the downsides of the profession are the fact that you go, you're away from home. You're not back in your bed every night. And sorry, presence company excluded. But for most airline pilots, you're staying in a hotel or whatever. And, you're gone between 12, 14, 16, 18 days a month if it's a really, crappy month. But I get the educational side of that. I'm not knocking that. I think there's just some little bit in presentation. I don't know why it irks me. Gonky, what do you think? Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. But then again, you and I think alike on this topic. So first of all, I just want to say, I think, I mean, all joking aside, I think airline pilots earn every dime that they make. There's a lot of responsibility involved, and you're right. A lot of these videos bring that to light, just the airline pilot lifestyle. I think for me, and it's like Spike kind of alluded to it a little bit, like, it's clear to me that these influencers, they define themselves. Like, that's who they like. I'm an airline pilot. Like, literally, I wear this uniform to bed, to the gym. Like, this is me.
Well,
and I want everybody
one of these particular ones does a lot of stuff without clothes on at all. So
well,
there's a lot of that too.
There's a little bit of,
there's
was that
a little-
narcissist? I don't know. I just, and I think, excuse me. I just think that, I don't know. I don't like, I don't know. To me, that irks me if somebody like, hey, that's who they are. This is all they know, and this is all they want to talk about, because it's the me talk, right? Which, as a fighter pilot, trust me, I enjoy. But as somebody who's just looking at an airliner, I don't get it. I mean, dude, I don't. When you first talked about doing the show, it's like t-shirts is as far as we'll go. Like, I don't, maybe Doug can clear it up. Maybe there is some sort of psychological thing with wearing your uniform. I mean, the other thing is, like, I just don't want to get in trouble, right?
Well, mill
I
side,
mean-
they do it too. You'll see it. I mean, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. You'll see mill people doing the exact same thing. Like they'll
Which I
get in
don't
their
get.
military uniform
State their
And-
opinion.
to talk about stuff, not like showing them on the job, hey, I was doing this or whatever. It's just to talk. And I think to me, that's the difference is doing something on the job. Yeah, you're wearing the uniform because you have to be there. As long as everybody's good with it, okay. But I think to put on the uniform to go set up a camera, show yourself walking into the room, coming back out, or even worse, being an airline captain and creating a costume because you don't want to put your company's uniform on and you create your own. Like, dude, come on, man. There's something like at some point you just have to trust that your biographical, sorry, I gonkied on that one. Your biographical information is enough to convince people that what you're saying is correct. Like and what you're saying should be, I think it should be motivational. I think you should, if you're going to talk the dollars and cents stuff, if you're just giving the truth, then that's fine. I don't think this article did this guy any justice.
No. And dude, look, guys, like, generally speaking, I think military pilots had a, generally speaking, I think more passion for flying, right? So I went to big aviation school, UND, and I met plenty of kids that were there because daddy was a captain and they wanted to make a bunch of money. So they were money driven. Dude, when I was 20 years old, if you told me, hey, here's a pathway to fly fighters, I had done it for free. Like, for free. Like, money wasn't even in the equation. I just wanted to fly those kinds of airplanes. And so it's ultra cringy to me to see a pilot in uniform just talking about money basically publicly. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, Gonky,
no offense to him. He's doing his thing, but
I don't agree with
weird.
that because like it's knowledge, right? People don't understand how airline salaries make. Why it was shocking to the writer of this article, I don't know, because to me, it used to be a Cadillac a month. That used to be the old joke, right? I mean, back in the Catch Me If You Can days, when it was the glory days of being an airline pilot, senior captains were making that kind of money. So I don't have any problem with that. I think that it would be important for aviators that are influencers to take a step back and decide whether it's about them or about aviation. What is the focus? Because if it's about you, then it's a distraction from aviation. If it's about aviation, okay. And if you're doing it on company property, i.e. cockpit, just make sure you're not violating your FOM, because I guarantee you that was. I mean, there are
well put.
specific policies.
Well said. Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to guarantee you that it was, because I don't know for sure. But I guarantee it could be construed as that. And if you want to keep your $213 an hour job and not be having to deal with the union. Now, if you're okay with, here's the catch-22. If you're going to do that, you got to be okay with the company calling you out on it and either forcing your hand and you quit, or you shut. Like, you got to have to make the choice, because which one are you more likely to lose? So.
Yeah, it's cringy, but I'm old, dude. So maybe this is just the new way of doing things. I don't know. He's a young guy, whatever. I mean, more power to him, man.
Yeah. Not just him. I mean, there's others.
I know.
There are a ton of, like, that is on the low end of the scale. It's the I'm getting my clearance, or today I'm flying. Like, who cares? Just go to your flight. Shut up. Nobody thinks this is interesting.
That's funny.
Do something with your life. Okay. Anyway, back to the comments. Neuropilot says, mover, I mean, is alert fighter. No, give me the Strike Eagle. We don't need to buy other people's stuff. Wes Ryman says, Captain Steve is creepy. I said no such thing. I would. Why'd you make he got a lanyard too. Like, what's this, the secure studio in your house? Like, what did you need? What did he put? Did he put a jet bridge key on it to get in the? I don't know, man. Just ask Kelsey a 7.4 gear. I don't know what that means.
That's a channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gundam Blade says we need to ask Wombat for his 2 cents too. Oh, that would have been a good one for Wombat.
Yeah.
For sure. Tell the people what they need to hear. Not necessarily what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. Mystic A says, I just recently got the F-15E Strike Eagle. I'll be going to the B course soon and extremely hyped. Won't be the single seat fighter, but the self-loading luggage should be a good thing.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. That's awesome.
All right, listen. I know I'm a bad influence.
A bad influencer. Go.
Put that out of your head. Like, don't ever, like, dude, they are part of your team. They are probably going to keep you out of trouble. They are assets to the mission, and they are people too.
God, I mean, I can just see the pain in your eyes right now.
Look, I'm trying to be a mentor here, Gonky. I'm trying to be an adult. I'm trying to be the bigger man here.
Yeah.
All right. I'm giving advice to the youngin. Okay. This is not the usual mover. This is me doing some mentorship. Don't insult your cargo until you're much senior to where you are. Damn it, I tried so hard, dude. I tried.
Are you strapped in yet?
I tried so hard. I tried.
No, look, take it. Sorry, take it from a guy who's gone from single seat to 2-seat back to single seat. You're gonna have a good time, man. It's the most fun when you finally get some quals and it's you and your buddy in the jet and you're out there doing your thing. Then it's dude, it's a fantastic time. And the coolest thing for you, I think, is, man, you're probably going to have an opportunity at some point to fly the EX, which is, like we just talked about, amazing airplane. So that's awesome, dude. Study hard, friggin' knock the B course out of the park. And yeah, maybe one day we'll have you on the channel for some stories.
There you go.
There you go, mover.
Boudreaux says, are you guys gamers? Have you heard of a flight sim called TCS? Gonky is #1 gamer in North Korea. Dude, you probably do have the best gaming setup in North Korea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on my phone.
He never showed up.
No, he didn't, dude.
He's lost that loving feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have done a ton of DCS. When are we doing DCS, Gonky? I'm going to ask you this every week until
listen, by the way, I forgot to get back to him, but Mike's moving to Texas. So I actually gotta get with him here soon. I might have to go find me another jet.
Or hurry up and go do it. Stop lollygagging.
Yeah. I fit him in my schedule.
All right. That's great. I can't. Crazy Pete says, my inner flight engineer is laughing at Mover.
I love it.
Yeah. No, dude, it's good. They're all real people. I promise. Hold on. Mental health minute. Gonky, you ready?
Oh, dude, I have no idea what it's going to be. Are you typing it in right now? Are you asking Grok? Help me.
Yeah. Training.
Oh, dude.
I'm gonna use Doug. I'm gonna use you as an example.
Uh-oh.
Well, because I think this is valid for both.
Surprise.
I think this is valid because we went shooting. We went to the range 2 weeks, two times. This in the last month. And the first time I went out and I put all the gear up, kitted up, and all that stuff. And we had a specific project in mind, but we were having fun. And we kind of were making up the course as we went, obviously adhering to all range safety rules. We were the only two out there. We made sure we were briefed and stuff. But as far as what the actual course was, we were just kind of making it up as we went. And it involved a lot of running. That's what I decided. I was like, if you're going to look cool, you're going to run. And I realized I was way more out of shape than I thought I was. And, come back on here, we talk about it. Gonky gives me all kinds of grief about being out of shape and old and how it looks hard to get up off the ground. And I was like, man, I don't want to be like that. Right. So I go to the gym and everything. Then I go and have a procedure done at the hospital. It sets me back a couple weeks. And then a week later, we go back out and we do some different things. But Doug then joins me and he kind of kits up. And what did you tell me, Doug?
I take it all back.
And I said to Doug, I said, Doug, don't feel bad because you don't have a baseline, right? You're just trying it out. But what I think there was, is it Cooper? What's his, anyway, he always says you'll rise to the level of your training.
You're thinking of Jeff Cooper, but I don't know if he said that.
It's not Jeff Cooper. It's a Lieutenant Colonel on combat, Grossman. So he talks about you'll rise to the level of your training, or you'll follow the level of your training. It's something they say a lot in law enforcement, but in general, we kind of get these delusions, right? That, I see him doing this, I can do this. I used to be able to do that. I can still do it today with no training whatsoever. I haven't run in 6 years. I haven't done the work to get to that point, but I think I can just kit up and go. That's what I thought. Doug kind of fell victim to that too. And you get to that idea, but the reality, and this is why SWAT teams, SEALs, special forces, fighter pilots, aviation in general, everything is a perishable skill. And if you don't go do it, you're going to have this idea that you still can. But the reality, when it's time to work and it's time to act, is it's going to suck. So my pitch is keep training. And if you haven't trained in a while, go out there and do it. Whatever it is, whether it's flying, if it's a tough approach, full procedure you haven't done in a while, hand flying in the airline world, running, doing sprints, doing shooting drills, just doing basic shooting stuff, grappling if you're in law enforcement, all that stuff, you only get through training. Because if you let it go by the wayside and think it'll just work out when you decide to do it again, I got news for you. Probably won't. It's going to suck. And you're going to end that with, man, I'm out of shape, or man, that didn't work out, or worse, man, I'm they're handing a folded flag to my family because I wasn't ready. So keep training no matter what it is you do. Be an expert in your field. Don't stop getting better. And use friends that help you get better. Gonky, what you got?
Well, shooting from the hip. Yeah. No, dude. Yeah. It's so funny you talk about that, because I took about almost a year hiatus. I did a tour at CENTCOM, and I remember coming back to the Hornet. It had only been like just right at about a year since I was out of the cockpit, and I thought, easy peasy, get back in this thing. And you always remember yourself being, even today, I still think I'm as good as I always was. But I remember our very first flight, man, me and Frozone, and he's IP in the back. I hop in, and I cannot find the APU switch. Dude, I'm looking on the wrong side, dude.
This is a trend. You get in a T-38, you forget to pre-flight after it's been a while.
No, but it's so funny because I'm like, Frozone, when I just, I'm like, dude, this is gonna sound super crazy. I'm like, where the hell's the APU switch at? And he goes, what? Once we got past that hurdle,
I'm out.
Well, he told me in the debrief, he's like, dude, I was zoning out in the back until you asked me what the switch was. I was like, I don't know. That was 2009, whatever. But that's just because I hadn't been training, right? So, kind of like you're alluding to, but I don't know. Is it you, Mover, that says you hate the saying perception's reality, right?
Yes. I hate it.
Well, when it comes to training, I think there's some correlation there. So you always want to be ready, training your mind, right? Training your body. If you're spiritual, right? Spiritual training is important, right? Because if you let any of that sit idle, I think it's going to affect you. And I think, spirit, mental, and physical, I think at the end of the day, it's all tied in together, right? So if you're struggling in one area, it's going to show up in the other three. And like anything in life, man, it's just a good balance. You got to balance that training with the rest of your life, because life goes on. You got family, you got commitments, you got responsibilities, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. So prioritizing effective training too, right? I mean, I can't tell you, there's a lot of times I've gone to the gym and I spent an hour in there and I really didn't do a whole lot, right? So you don't want to waste your time, right? Make it effective, have a plan. And like Mover said, a buddy, right? So sometimes a buddy is not there to just push you, but maybe an accountability partner or friend, right? Just to to keep you in the game. So a lot of good stuff there. And man, I know I'm always training, and I tell you what, it helps training a lot if you have some sort of end goal. But Doug, what do you got, man? Clean it up.
Oh, you guys are very much on point. The only thing I can add, and this really came home to me this weekend, is that aging takes all of that and makes it that much more important. I was in incredible shape in my 20s and 30s, and as a result, I was able to coast for a long time. And I think when I hit 50 something, the coasting stopped, and now I have to work. And I was surprised to the point of being disappointed at how difficult some things have become when I started trying them again. And you don't want to be there. I talked to my kids about that. I said, look, now is the time to get in shape, because when you try to get back in shape at my age, it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it's hard to undo the atrophy.
Yeah, the goals become, you have to set reasonable goals. And now I'm just struggling with what the reasonable goals are, because that just the mental realization of what reasonable goals are at 60 is.
Tom Cruise, dude, he runs everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's smart. I need to start doing that. I'm gonna run to my car so I can drive to the end of the driveway to get the mail.
Yeah. Nice. Well, and I'm not Doug. I'm not throwing you under the bus, man.
No, absolutely. I appreciate. I see it as support.
I see. When you guys were talking about it, like, because you were saying, I kept up with you as the camera guy. I'm like, dude, it's different. It's a lot different.
I struggled to lift the damn plate carrier over my head after we were done.
It's a lot different. Like these are different concepts. And I think just as humans, we see something and we're like, yeah, I can do that. And that's confidence, and that's good. There's that level of confidence is always good. But if you don't do something in a while, we have to be ready for the disappointment of, hey, dude, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be fun. And I think
it used to be
part of the effective training is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Because if you get mad, like we were doing, I think every time we did a drill, because Gonky, we went out there and we were shooting steel, 25 yards moving in cover to cover. And what I was having problems with, and something from lack of practice, is going from the rifle back to the pistol. And you get lazy when you go to the pistol, because the rifle's so easy at 25 yards. You get to the pistol and you're like, holy shit, why is it not dinging? And then you speed up because you're like, no, I gotta get, and it gets worse. And you're like, damn, that sucked. Or that reload wasn't fast or whatever. But you have to make those mistakes so that you build that, oh, I did this, because if it's perfect every time, you're never going to get better. But if you give yourself a little bit of grace to get better, I'm using shooting because that's what we did. And, I don't fly. Gonky, I guarantee you, if you and I hop in a jet tomorrow, our G tolerance is going to suck.
Oh, big time.
Like,
big time. Same with our BFM skills.
Somebody just said, they were like, Kelsey, I watched some of that video. 7-4 Gear went and flew with the Blue Angels. Dude, I guarantee you, if I jumped in a jet right now, I would be just like any other civilian with G tolerance. Like I know how to overcome it, but it's not going to be like King Kong. Let's go. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it, dude. If you don't.
Well, do you bring up a good point? That was part of the training, right? So if we hadn't done BFM in a while, like in the squadron, we would do basically some warm-up stuff, right? As part of the training to get us ready. So, yeah, man.
All right, Gonky. Hold on. We got some people from the audience. Kyle says, my friend Bob Sideshow says hi to Gonky.
Sideshow Bob. He is a legend. He's awesome. Tell him I said hi. He was a Delta pilot that left Delta to go do, I think, Border Patrol. So great. He was a reservist. Great guy. One of the many that influenced me that the reserves was the way to go. So tell Sideshow I said hi, man.
Awesome. Crazy Pete says, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. See, that's the quote.
I actually got an attribution on it. It goes back to Greek. It's like thousands of years old.
Thesaurus Rex says, "How about a training montage? Will that do? You're gonna need a montage. Dude. There's nothing from your buddy.
Number one, Kim Jong.
Or Dogfight Man. Nothing this week.
Yeah.
John says, by using good tactics, we lower the chance of resistance. By lowering the chance of resistance, we lower the chance of injury. By lowering the chance of injury, we lower the chance of liability. Andy Casavan. He must have a calendar. That's the only thing.
Probably got an app.
John comes up with some really good stuff, man.
Yeah. This is somebody who has a calendar.
John, you got Grok up?
Yeah.
Grok, listen to this show.
Yeah. Grok, give me something insightful and awesome and always appropriate.
Yeah. Why are you wasting your time watching the Mover and Gonky show?
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we got, Gonky?
That's it. We've done it. Good show, man. Had Spike on. That was awesome.
Your fan just started for some reason.
No, it's been running.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, listen, we love you. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining.
We got
Another
nothing
one
else
in the can
to talk about, and we'll see you next Monday. Good night, everyone.
We'll see you guys.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes. Oh, yes. Happy 4th
The
of July.
real No King's Day, because that's when we celebrate our freedom.
That's
light
right.
fuse and run away
From aliens, too. Watch
right.
Independence Day. You have to.
The
Part
first
of
one.
it. The president's speech. Perfect. Make you want to go do all the training. All right. Good night, everybody.